Welcome to the Right Now Show. I'm Judy Saxon.
And I'm Charlie Redner. This is the show where we put the emphasis on writers, writing, and the arts. Good morning, Judy.
Good morning. You are the busiest man in the village. What are you up to?
I have 3 projects. I was going to talk about one. I'm doing a video about the 3 writers clubs.
Oh, good.
But I'm more excited about the fact that I'm doing a choreography for the Aquadettes.
Really?
Yes, I get to choreograph a number this year. The show director, Valerie Link, said I can do it. I can try to do it.
Have you ever done anything?
No, I've never choreographed anything in my life.
Charlie.
But
that's
I know
great.
I can do it.
I know you can. And I love that show, as you know. Highlight of my summer.
What are you up to, dear?
Well, I am writing more. I am writing more, so I'm proud of myself. And hopefully next time you ask, I can say I'm walking a mile a day.
Ooh.
I know, it sounds so minor, doesn't it? But just to get out the door. But I am writing.
Do it.
Yeah. I am excited about our guest today.
Me too.
Jill Amadeo comes from St. Ives, Cornwall. She has worked as a reporter for a London newspaper, for the Bangkok Post, the Spanish American Courier, Gannett newspapers in New York. She was an investigative reporter for the Connecticut Sunday Herald. She wrote a bio of Gunther Rahl. She has ghostwritten 14 memoirs, and she co-authored a story, the memoir of Rudy Valley, written with his widow, Eleanor. And those are just some of the things she's done. Welcome.
Thank you very
Jill.
much.
Thank you for taking a minute to come see us. You're so
it's
busy.
great to be here, and what a beautiful set.
I know.
Yes.
We love it. Yeah. Now, how do you pronounce your last name?
Actually, it's Amadeo.
Amadeo.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a little village in Italy with that name,
Oh.
near the Swiss border.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
But you're English,
I am actually, yes.
from St. Ives.
But I met an American lawyer in London when I was working for a newspaper.
Oh, okay. And then how did you get all these other places, like Bangkok?
Well, he was sent to Madrid,
Uh-huh.
and from there he proposed.
Aw.
So I went there, and we were married in Madrid and had 2 children
Oh,
there.
lovely.
7 years, yes. And then he was sent to Bogota, Colombia. So we went there for a year.
Kept your Spanish
Yes,
going, right?
almost as soon as we got there, he was sent to Saigon in Vietnam. So, of course, he wanted his family close by. We weren't, allowed to live in Vietnam, of course.
Not during the war.
So he said, well, where do you want to live? Singapore, Hong Kong? Hong Kong, thanks, no, it's too British. Kuala
British.
Lumpur. And so Bangkok, I said, oh, Bangkok sounds exotic. So that's where we chose to live, and we were there for about 5 years, and I worked for the Bangkok Post,
Wow.
which was fun.
Now, did your children, they went to school there?
Oh,
in
yes,
Bangkok?
yeah.
Did they have American schools or?
There was an international
International,
school
I should say,
for,
yes.
for my son, the older child, and then the other 2 went to Thai schools.
Oh.
They were Catholic schools, taught in Thai.
Oh,
It was
Really?
fascinating, yes. Yeah,
So you speak Thai to this day?
not really.
No.
I can count
Oh, okay.
up to 10.
That's
Some
something.
see hard jot bet gao.
Ooh, I like that.
That's it.
But your son can?
Yes, although of course they've forgotten most of it
Yeah,
now.
Right.
And they
yeah.
spoke Spanish fluently too.
Right. They still have
From
that?
Spain. Yes,
Oh, good.
yes, they do.
wow.
So,
And you know somebody that worked on the Bangkok?
The Bangkok Post actually bought the World, and the World, I met the editor. He was the chief editor of the World, the Bangkok World, who was competing with the paper she was working with.
yes.
And he tells these funny stories about how they used to throw each other's papers off the train for upcountry, right?
and we all knew at the Bangkok World, it was owned by a British company,
Right.
Lord somebody or other, and we all knew that the Bangkok World was the CIA-funded newspaper.
Right.
Really?
'Cause
By
he was
America.
He was a captain in the army while he was the editor-in-chief of the paper.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. Yeah.
Interesting times.
But Bangkok at the time, it was the end of the war. But Bob Hope was still coming through to entertain the troops.
Right.
There'd be lots of movie stars, celebrities, and
Come
I was
through.
fortunate to interview them all. And writers, Philip Roth came through. Tennessee Williams.
Oh,
really?
All
really?
Ingrid Bergman, yes.
Oh,
Interesting people. Tom Jones.
what a tour.
Well, they'd
for
fly
you.
to Vietnam to do the show and then hurry back to Bangkok because it really was a swinging town.
Can you give us just a snippet about Tennessee Williams? What an impression you have of him?
Well, he was, pretty busy
Oh,
going
I'm
to all
sure.
the bars and everything.
Oh, I thought
They
writing.
didn't give you much time to report
No, he
on
was
him,
always
right?
off doing something with friends and everything.
Oh, yeah.
But he enjoyed Bangkok tremendously.
Yeah.
And so did Philip Roth. And I had said to him, I'm going to be living in America according to my divorce agreement. I had to go and live here in actually on the East Coast. And I said, I don't know where to live. I've never been there. And he said, have you ever heard of Westport, Connecticut? I said, nope. He said, well, if you think Bangkok swings, wait till you hit Westport. And I thought, oh, okay, that sounds fine. I was young, early 30s, 3 children.
I can't believe Westport swung like
I can't
Bangkok.
I have to
either.
tell you, I went there, we bought a house, I settled in, got the children in school. It was the dullest town I have ever lived in. Extremely suburban, but beautiful, a
Yes,
beach town.
Sure. So much for taking Philip Roth's advice, right?
Yeah, Paul Newman lived there and his
Yeah.
wife. Robert Redford rented a house there.
Yeah.
There were a lot of celebrities living there. And of course it was the hometown for Madison Avenue. All the men
yes.
in the morning would get on the train
Train, go to
and commute
New
to
York.
Madison Avenue.
Yeah.
Now you were an investigative reporter there in Connecticut.
Yes.
Isn't that, now, I wouldn't think there'd be much to investigate. Was
Oh, well, Bridgeport, which Paul Newman called the armpit of the state.
Oh.
They had mafia there. They had murders there. It was also a large Puerto Rican
So what do you do? Call up the
community.
Don and say, hi, I'd like to interview you today. You got an hour?
I did almost do that.
Really?
Well, I knew where they hung out at this diner. So I went to the diner and I'm sitting there sort of trying to listen. And this old guy comes over. He was one of their soldiers, as they called them.
Oh, yes.
And he'd say, hey, come and have coffee with us. Okay. So I did.
Yes.
And I would meet with him periodically and find out what was going on, you know.
And he knew you were working
Oh, he
for
did.
the paper.
He would read the paper. Yeah.
Ah.
And the same thing, I would also cover trials at the courtrooms. And one I went to was for a Black Panther. So I went to the trial and I was sitting outside talking. They're not supposed to talk to me, the witnesses.
Yeah.
I was talking to them and became friendly with them.
Oh.
And so I would write those stories up also.
What was the trial? Was something they had done that?
Yeah, I can't remember
the news?
exactly. It was so long ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were there. Yeah.
Oh, did you ever have any grisly murder scenes? I always think of reporters on the scene and I think, oh, that would be difficult.
No, but I've always wanted to find a dead body. And when I lived
So you
in
can put it in your novels,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, when I lived in Dana Point, I'd go to the harbor and look at the pilings
Oh,
See if you
under
find
the
a
pier. Are there any bodies here today? I don't know why I was fascinated with it.
Isn't that funny?
I know. Well, after I moved here, a lady in Bel Air always wanted to write a book, but she couldn't write.
Right.
So she knew I was a ghostwriter,
Uh-huh.
and she said, would you come and meet me and we can talk and see about you writing my novel.
And it's
Well,
called,
who
let me
write-
just interrupt a moment
yes.
so our viewers can see.
A Moment in Crime.
Yes.
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 And I said, well, who ghostwrites novel, fiction? And I thought, well, what the heck? A new experience.
That is. I've never
Yeah.
heard of
So
that.
I
Yes.
went up to meet her, and she said, and she was very wealthy, and she said, and lived in a lovely home, and explained the plot. She said, well, my father was the victim of a financial scam, so that's the plot. And I thought, I said, well, I don't know, maybe we could put a murder or two to spice it up, you know. And she said, oh, I like that. How many murders can we have? So then I said, now what about characters? She said, oh, yes. Now, these have to be in the book. My 6 husbands,
Oh my goodness.
my 6 lovers, and my 3 daughters. And I said, and which should be the killer? Who do you want to be the killer? I said, no, we can't possibly have all those characters. I said, I'll take 3 husbands and 3 lovers, and I'll take 2 of your daughters. She said, well, all right. So after I'd finished writing the book, she said to me, you know, my 3rd daughter's going to be very upset. I said, but these characters aren't your daughters. They're different people I've created. No, she said, it's got to be a 3rd daughter. I said, okay, here's what we can do. We can have her join the Peace Corps in chapter 1 and send her off to Turkey and never hear from her again. So we got rid of that one. And so I always ask people when they want me to write their book, what their goal is.
Right.
And of course, with the memoirs, it's to give their grandchildren a knowledge of their heritage. Who are they? Because they always think, oh, those old people, my
Yes,
grandparents,
yes.
they're
Never did anything
nothing.
exciting, right?
Yes.
And you'd be surprised what wonderful histories their grandparents have.
Absolutely. Here
Yeah.
in the woods, there's some.
So I
million
said
stories.
Yeah.
to Michelle, so why do you want to write this novel? She said, I've always wanted my name on a book.
Aw,
Okay, you've got it.
yes.
So we did the book, and she did the book launch, and she was all over the place giving talks about her book. And
Did
we
you get
did
it reviewed by somebody important?
LA Times,
Wow.
Oh my.
and Publishers Weekly,
Oh.
Okay.
and a lot of other places. Yeah,
Then you come
fortunately.
to the opening of.
Well, she had one big launch at Dutton's up in LA, which was the place to launch your book.
Right.
And so she'd gone to the manager of the bookstore and said, you know, I've got 300 friends coming. And she had it catered by the Beverly Hills Hilton.
Oh,
And there was
my.
champagne and food and all kinds of things. And so I went, she said, you are coming, aren't you? I said, no, of course not.
It's your book.
I said, it's your book.
Right.
She said, no, you've got to be there. All right. So I
Wanted
went
to show
up.
off my author.
She did.
Yeah, right. Oh, she
So
did.
I walked in, there's a huge table with my book all over it. She's signing it, you know, of course.
Right.
And I thought, so I was hovering sort of in the background like a ghost.
Yes.
And she called me over, and all these people were around her, and she kept introducing. This is my writer. Like you'd say, this is my butler, here's my maid, here's my writer, right? It was such
I have
fun.
one. Oh.
So I wrote a funny story about it for the
Aw.
LA Times Sunday magazine.
Oh, wow.
It was a
Yes.
humor story, an essay.
Oh.
Yeah, it was fun.
It's a
We
delightful
had a
story the
great
way
time.
you tell it. My goodness.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I loved doing the book. So what happened with the book, I created, as it was a crime novel, I created a forensics accountant to be a series character because I thought, oh, good, we could do 6 more books. But she didn't want to. So I had to give up that character. I still got her in my head, of course. But I got so interested in
I'd
learning
like to
about...
read the contract. Does she own the character?
Actually, I'm not sure. Yes, she must. She owns the copyright.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we both do, though. I have to look at it again. Copyright's so important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, oh, well, nobody's going to steal my book. Well, you'd be surprised. Nowadays, with Amazon, there are millions of books on there.
Yes,
I
right.
bet some of them are pirated. And of course, China takes all our books for nothing.
Right.
They don't pay royalties. Yeah, and that's one of the things that the US government is getting on China about.
Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Intellectual
that.
Oh,
property.
yes.
Yeah, they're stealing all
They
kinds
steal,
of things.
yeah, I mean, technology, everything. Yeah, yeah. So well, after I finished her book, I thought, I'm so interested in
I'm a novelist
learning
now.
about poisons and killings and coroners, medical examiners, and so I thought I'll write my own. So then, and I was living on Balboa Island at the time, and I thought, I wonder how many murders they've had here. So I did some research,
First
called the
thing I think about,
newspaper.
too, right?
Yeah,
Living
doesn't everybody?
in this town.
Well, you know, I didn't want to step on anyone's toes. So I went to the local newspaper. I said, how many murders on Balboa? Oh, they haven't had any. Good. Now they're going to have 3. So that's where my mysteries are based.
Place.
Yes.
I just finished this week, Digging Up the Dead.
Oh.
Just delightful. Just
Okay,
a delightful
that's the first
read.
book,
Yes,
actually.
Digging Too Deep.
And it
is the first
introduces,
one.
my character. I decided to make her a Cornish woman from Cornwall, like I am.
Naturally.
And she's a
Interesting.
newspaper reporter in London, covering Buckingham Palace,
About that.
and discovers yet another royal scandal. So the Queen says, oh, get her out of our hair for a while. So she's sent on assignment to America, and her daughter lives on Balboa Island as she's with an American race team. She's a race car driver. So here
The
comes...
daughter is?
Yeah, the daughter.
I see.
One book will go to the Indy 500, and something will happen.
Okay.
So I brought my character's name, the Amateur Sleuth. It's very Agatha Christie style. And her name is Tosca Trevant. Trevant is a very Cornish name. And she cusses in Cornish, Tosca does. And I didn't know any Cornish cuss words, but I contacted a professor of Cornish in Cornwall, and he gave me pages of them. And they were very colorful. One of them means, may the devil eat your organs.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, stuff like that. It was lovely. So anyway, that's where my character is. She's on Balboa Island, very curious, like Miss Marple, but a younger version.
Oh, I have to tell you, I read a quote by Suspense magazine, and it was something like, your character, Tosca, is Miss Marple with a red leather miniskirt, something like that.
Yeah,
Red
she
leather
is.
miniskirt.
She's 50 years old, and of course nowadays 50-year-olds look like 30-year-olds.
Right, they do.
And so, but she's very nosy, as the English are, although they don't admit it. And she's, we love our flowers in England. And she notices that not all Americans cherish their front gardens.
Oh my.
So she goes to fix the neighbor's garden and starts digging around the plants, and guess what she finds? A few bones. And it goes on from
Were you
there.
addicted to Murder, She Wrote? Did you ever watch that
Oh,
series?
every episode.
Wasn't she wonderful?
Yes.
Yes,
mean,
I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love her, and she's doing well too.
Is she good?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I digress for a moment because you were in PR for a racing team that
Yes.
was at one time owned by Paul Newman and
Hal Needham.
Yes.
And who was the other one? There was another famous. Oh, I know that guy in. Yeah, he was. I've forgotten his name, but he was the hero to all the women. Yeah.
I'm trying
and
to
we'd
think of
walk
his-
around Indianapolis track, and everyone would fall over seeing
Oh,
all
I
these movie
bet.
stars. Yeah.
Well, wherever Paul Newman went, there was a crowd.
Oh yes.
Oh, there
and
must
he was
have
very
been.
private. He hated it, but he had to be there. He was an owner of the race car.
And he drove.
Yeah.
And he drove, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
So maybe so you really use that in your novel. I mean, your knowledge of
Well, because
that
I
world.
was part of that world.
Yeah,
This is what
yeah.
writers do.
Yeah.
They love to use their experiences. And of course, having so much knowledge, they can bring it into their books.
Yes.
And
yes.
many writers don't think that they have enough material, but they do. And
Yeah.
it's wonderful to read what they write. Charlie, for instance. Yes.
Thank
Your books are wonderful.
Oh, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
terrific.
I'm working on a new one that I really think is going to be off the charts.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will
Great.
be.
Isn't the research fun?
I love it.
And thank goodness for Google.
Oh, yes. Oh, the
Now
map
we can do
searches
it at
I
home.
do. Yes, it's
Yeah.
so easy
Oh, I
now.
know.
I can
Yes.
visit the Philippines without hopping on a plane.
Exactly.
I
I did
actually
a.
see, a photograph of a bar and a restaurant somewhere in Manila. If I
Oh
want.
yes, Google
No.
Earth.
I
Zooms
know.
right in. I did a book for a Laguna Woods resident. He was a retired U.S. ambassador, Bill Hussey, and he was president of the tennis club
Association
here.
here. Okay.
And his wife, Peerchart, was minor Thai royalty. And she was also a champion here.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so it was fun talking to them.
And you have a Thai woman in your newest book, your
I
newest
do,
mystery.
A dancer.
Yes.
Those Thai dancers with their
Yes,
hands. And,
yes.
Oh, it's wonderful.
I thought of
Well,
that
I
one.
knew them. I would interview them when I lived in Bangkok.
Oh.
So, you know, when you have that
great.
knowledge, you can experience, you can bring it into your books.
How about Thai food? Do you do something?
I love it, yes.
Do you do something in your books about the?
I haven't
love
yet.
Thai food.
Well,
it's my favorite. Of
I
all.
know, I've got to put a recipe in because nowadays people who write cozies, which are the Agatha Christie type
Yes.
style, they all put recipes in now. They're
right.
People are writing about cheese and pastries and cakes and all sorts
You know,
of
your
food.
publishing club is putting out a book with recipes and stories about them. You've got to submit one.
I know, I think it's too late. I do
no,
have a...
it's not too late.
Oh, all right. I'll do it then.
I'd say
I do
here
have
boldly, and I'm going to be calling
Yes.
Peggy.
Well, the other thing is that there are two 2017 anthology for the publishing club. Just put my story in about moving to Laguna Woods and the experience I had. You know, at first I was resistant,
Right.
and a friend drove me around, and I thought, what a beautiful place. Told me about all the clubs, and said the average age was 68. And I thought, oh, okay, I could live there.
Yeah.
And I have some wonderful neighbors.
Oh, good for
And yeah, I love it here. It's perfect.
It is. It's
Yeah.
a wonderful place, isn't
So they ran the story, and it's
Oh.
a bit funny in places.
Oh, I bet. And then what about your newest one, Digging Up the Dead? Now, where did you come up with that idea? I don't want to give it away, but I mean,
Yes.
you must have done instruments figure in the story, old instruments, musical instruments, and
Yes.
you must have had to do
Well, my
surgery.
grandmother. Yeah, right.
Surgery.
Research.
I mean, I
Well,
never
that was
heard,
part of research
yeah.
too.
I had
Yeah.
never heard of some of those instruments.
Well, I hadn't either, to tell you the truth, but my grandmother came from a family of opera singers
Oh.
in Italy and Malta. And so
Tosca.
she named
Yeah,
all her
I
children after characters in operas, hence Tosca.
Tosca.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so my mother would take me to the operas in London all the time. And I grew up with
you.
classical music.
Oh, wonderful.
So I have an interest in it. And I have an interest in medieval musical instruments.
Oh my goodness.
So that's why I put them in all my books.
There was a
Oh, in all
book
your
called
books,
The
okay.
Alienist before this series came out. Did you ever read that? That was about forensic pathology at the turn of the century. And it's wonderful. It's a novel.
I think there's a movie too, isn't there?
There
or a
could be a
series.
movie. There's a series
TV
right now, I
series,
think.
yes.
That if you go back to the books, they were.
Right.
I mean, I treasure those books. I think there's two of them, and how that was the very beginning of the scientific research regarding murders and what they
Yes.
found.
Well,
at the scenes.
one of the books, one of my crime books, I use a guitar string to strangle someone.
Oh,
Yes,
congratulations.
yes.
Well,
I
the
know.
detective, whom I respect, the police, but he made a mistake because Tosca knew more about guitar strings than he did. So she was able to solve the murder.
And I was so impressed that you knew that. And now, did you already know that writing
Well,
into the book?
I went to a guitar shop.
Oh my goodness! And that's how you found
And that,
out.
yeah, in Dana Point, and that's how I looked. Could you show me some guitar strings? And he said single or double. And I thought, oh, all right, there's a clue.
Wow.
So that's the fun of the research.
Yes, yes.
It's really great.
And you don't play flamenco or anything?
I don't play anything, no. But I love flamenco.
Me too.
When I lived in Spain, there was one radio station. And what kind of music do you think they played all day?
Yes.
Flamenco.
Oh,
Right.
really?
So I miss the whole Elvis Presley era.
Yeah.
Well,
I was very much into flamenco music in
Oh, wonderful.
my
That's
20s
some great.
to 30s. Oh, we
Seville
loved
is
it.
the place to
I
to
did
go.
TV shows with performers in Philadelphia. Yes, with
really?
singers and dancers.
Oh,
Oh,
marvelous.
it was a wonderful
yes,
experience.
you got to go to Seville.
Yeah.
They're the real gypsies.
Yeah, she
Sent
had
my
so much
granddaughter
spare
there
time.
for college. She went
Oh, well
to
then that's a
college
good
there.
Really?
excuse to go.
Yeah, I know. It's a good excuse. Go to Seville.
Yes.
That
And
is
we
the
never
place.
even got to My Vagabond Lover about Rudy
Oh,
Valley.
Rudy
and,
Valley.
my
Oh, that
What
was
are you
such
doing,
fun
Judy? You
to
wrapping
write.
up the show?
Well, we got a signal that
Really?
it's only a
I
few
don't
minutes
believe
left.
it.
I know.
I can't believe it. Oh my
Well,
goodness.
thank you, Jill.
Oh,
my
thank you
goodness.
for inviting me and
well,
for
it's
listening.
been it's been
It
delightful.
was very kind of you.
You are something else. We have to have you back. I swear.
Well, I'm in the middle of the third crime novel.
Okay.
Good. I was going to ask you if you're
So-
writing that.
Give you-
Good.
Yeah, I was
I
going to
am.
ask you too. What are you up to now?
Yeah.
You have something.
Some
leave us
wise
with?
words. Well, this was written by Raymond Chandler. Technique alone is never enough. You have to have passion. Technique alone is just an embroidered potholder. Don't you?
And I have something from the New York Times in 1961. It says, Bangkok, though, is a rejuvenating tonic. The people seem to have found the magic elixir. Life, a visitor feels, has not been wasted on the Thais.
Uh-huh. How true.
Oh.
America discovered it.
Well, yes.
Yeah. Well, don't forget the Writers Club. Second Friday of the month, Dining Room 1 at the Performing Arts Center.
Well, thank you, Judy, and I'll see you next
Thank
time.
you.
Thank
And
you.
thanks again, Jill.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Enjoyed it.
See you soon.
Wow, you're dynamite. You're true.
No,